Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to Canal Algeria's Nightly News. On to the headlines. While chairing the Council of Ministers, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, reaffirms Algeria's firm commitment to combating all forms of financial crime, emphasizing the country's recent progress in this field. The head of state also underlines that decisions related to car import and manufacturing fall strictly under the authority of the Council of Ministers. The President of the Republic receives the CEO of the Italian energy giant Eni, who confirms the preparation of a strategic investment project in Algeria after signing a major $1.3 billion worth contract. The President of the Republic receives the outgoing ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, who paid him a farewell visit at the end of his mission in Algiers. And addressing the National Youth Summit, the President stresses that enhancing youth political participation remains a strategic national priority, calling on young Algerians to take an active role in shaping the country's future. Welcome back. We kick off with tonight's top story, which is the cabinet meeting chaired by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces and the Minister of National Defense, which focused on two bills relating to the prevention and fight against money laundering, the financing of terrorism, as well as the protection of individuals in the processing of personal data. Rania Al-Bahri kicks us off tonight.
The Council of Ministers focused on the examination of two draft laws related to the prevention of money laundering and the financing of terrorism, as well as the protection of individuals in the processing of personal data. The President of the Republic affirmed that Algeria has implemented rigorous control mechanisms to combat all forms of crime, particularly those related to financial matters and the protection of individuals. Regarding the firefighting file, the President of the Republic ordered the highest levels of vigilance to be raised during the coming weeks. The President ordered the exercise of high caution and care during harvesting operations, while harnessing all capabilities and coordinating efforts in proactive action against any potential fire incidents. Regarding projects related to the automotive industry in Algeria, the President of the Republic welcomed and encouraged the promoters of credible projects working towards the establishment of a genuine automotive industry, thus marking a break with the dubious practices of the past. The President also reiterated that the granting of approvals for the importation and manufacture of vehicles is the exclusive responsibility of the Council of Ministers. He emphasized the need to require the participation of qualified Algerian subcontractors in various fields related to automotive manufacturing. Furthermore, the President of the Republic ordered the opening of the market to national industry companies specializing in vehicle electrification, spare parts and other components. The head of state emphasized that the strategic objective is to lay the foundation for a truly emerging mechanical engineering industry through ongoing automotive projects, with the aim of achieving a 12% contribution to the gross domestic product.
Earlier on Monday, the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, had received the Executive Director of the Italian oil giant Eni. The ceremony was attended by the Principal Private Secretary to the Presidency of the Republic, Barnam Balem, and the Director General of Sonatrach, Rashid Hashishi, as well as the Acting Secretary General of the Ministry of Energy, Mines and Renewable Energies. Let's listen to the statement of the head of Eni on the exceptional relations binding both countries.
We just met with the President of the Republic and the CEO of Sonatrach. We discussed development in Algeria, not just in gas and oil. We have just signed a very important contract that will immediately allow us to increase our investment by almost $1.3 billion. We are also preparing additional projects with Sonatrach to further increase production to between 5 and 7 billion cubic meters per year. These are truly significant projects projects. These projects also include the focus on renewable energy. We're talking about solar energy, but also about green hydrogen. We're also working on decarbonization, capturing methane emissions, making gas, which is already a clean energy source, even cleaner, and saving gas for export. We're also discussing forest protection and the implementation of new environmental plans. So I can say this is not just about traditional energy like oil and gas, it's about all the aspects of clean energy. I believe the President was pleased. He said he was happy with what we are doing. We are finalizing all the projects and we are going to invest more than $8 billion. So this is a very important investment. Relations are excellent with Sonatrach, with the ministry and with everyone. We can truly say that Algeria is like home for us, and we aren't just colleagues, we are mostly friends.
Similarly, the head of state, Abdelmejid Tebboune, received the ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, Shakir Atallah Al Ammoush, who paid him a farewell visit at the end of his mission to Algeria. The audience took place in the presence of the principal private secretary to the presidency of the Republic, Boualem Boualem, and the advisor to the president of the Republic in charge of diplomatic affairs, Ammar Abba. And here's what the outgoing ambassador had to say.
I was very honored to be received by His Excellency the President of the Republic, Abdelmejid Tebboune. May God protect him. As part of my farewell visit at the end of my mission to Algeria, I convey to the President of the Republic the greetings of His Majesty Abdullah Al-Thani ibn al-Hussein, Sovereign of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, as well as his best wishes for progress and prosperity for Algeria, a brotherly country. I can say that Algerian-Jordanian relations are today at their best and will remain so forever, under the leadership of His Majesty and the President of the Republic, Abdelmejid Tebboune. I wish Algeria much progress and prosperity.
Let's head now to the International Conferences Center, Abdelatif Rahal in Algiers, where a national summit entirely devoted to the role of young people in politics kicked off under the high patronage of the President of the Republic. Over 3,000 participants from the four corners of the country will be discussing the means to activate in order to reinforce the representation in institutions. The proposals arising from the discussions will be summarized in plenary session to establish a roadmap. In his speech read out by the Premier Nadir Al-Arbawi, the President of the Republic Abdelmejid Tebboune stressed that this summit is an opportunity to shed light on the efforts made for the inclusion of young people in politics. Let's listen.
The summit represents a genuine opportunity to review the various achievements made in recent years in order to enable the young people to engage in political actions, participate in decision-making, and identify the challenges and obstacles hindering their smooth and effective integration into participatory democracy. This form of democracy is considered a vital incubator and the ideal framework for interaction between social forces and state institutions. Promoting the youth political participation is one of the strategic priorities and key pillar of the reforms launched since 2019, and numerous initiatives have been introduced in this regard to strengthen the presence of young people within the government institutions and consultative bodies, to remove the barriers that hinder their involvement in various political spheres, and to renew the elected assemblies at both the national and local levels. This novelly led dynamic has allowed the emergence of a young political elite free from the practices and abuses of the past.
This was highly welcomed by the youth participating in this summit, who praised the reforms approved by the President of the Republic regarding the empowerment of young people to engage in the political life. Aya Dahoud Najah Tayyar compiled the following reactions.
Bringing together young minds from every region of Algeria, the Summit on Youth with the Nation as their goal showcased a generation eager to shape the future with responsibility and vision. Their strong involvement highlights a major shift in the national priorities, as the President of the Republic's reform efforts have placed youth at the center of public policy, transforming them from passive observers into active participants in political decision-making. Today, over 3,000 are present here, which once again confirms the President's commitment to empowering youth in political life. We salute the efforts of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, for giving youth a real opportunity. He played a major role in preparing them to take the lead in shaping the future. This is a major opportunity for youth to engage politically, starting from local elections at the municipal level. With a strong sense of responsibility, the young participants emphasized that Algeria's progress relies on their active role and fresh ideas. Their honest and clear voices, heard throughout the summit's workshops, reflected a deep awareness of the impact they can make. These workshops boosted the youth's political engagement, giving them a new perspective and inspiring vision for their political future. We witnessed the participation of elected youth from the municipal, provincial and national council, along with active youth from the local and national associations. As a first experience, we truly benefited from it. This was our chance to express opinions we hadn't been able to voice until recent years. We didn't have access to local institutions before. This is a pivotal moment we are experiencing today, witnessing the fulfillment of a leader's commitment. The President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, has made youth a top priority since his first candidacy in 2019, pledging that, if elected, youth would play a central role in decision-making and be key contributors to building the new Algeria. The workshops wrapped up with key recommendations that support a shared vision of responsible and impactful youth involvement in politics, shaped by the ideas and ambitions of young participants, and these outcomes reflect their hopes for a more engaged and influential role in public life.
On to the diplomacy window of the night, and as part of his official visit to the Republic of Singapore, the Minister of State of Foreign Affairs, the National Community Abroad and African Affairs, Ahmed Attaf, held a series of bilateral meetings on Monday to strengthen bilateral cooperation. In this respect, he held a working session with his Singaporean counterpart, which allowed for an in-depth and comprehensive assessment of the current state of Algerian-Singaporean relations and a review of prospects for developing and advancing them to higher levels through optimal exploitation of promising partnership and cooperation opportunities. Both ministers also exchanged views and analyses on a set of international and regional dossiers of common interest, topped by the development in the Palestinian issue, in the current situation in the Middle East, as well as the circumstances in the South Sahara region. Attaf was also received by the Speaker of the Singaporean Parliament, Seah Kiam Bang, and discussed ways to enhance parliamentary cooperation through the activation of various mechanisms offered by parliamentary diplomacy. At the end of his visit, Attaf visited the Singapore Center for Livable Cities, where he learned about Singapore's pioneering experience in urban governance and learned about potential opportunities for cooperation and exchange in areas related to urban digital transformation and the management of smart and sustainable cities. On the occasion of the 63rd anniversary of Independence Day, the U.S. Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, addressed Algeria and its people on behalf of the United States. The U.S. Secretary of State recalled the strong partnership between Algeria and the United States. Secretary Rubio also affirmed his aspiration to continue joint cooperation, particularly in the areas of trade opportunities and people-to-people exchanges, as well as building a brighter future between Algeria and the United States. Contrary to the illusions prompted by the hateful French right, which has not yet digested Algeria's independence, they are launching a new campaign of hatred and misinformation against Algeria through French media outlets affiliated with the Bolloré networks. This campaign is aimed at exploiting this inside issue through blatant diplomatic blackmail and diverting attention from international crisis. Rania Al-Bahri.
Contrary to the illusions nurtured by the vengeful French far right that has never accepted Algeria's independence, Boualem Sansal was not among those granted a presidential pardon by the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, on the occasion of July 5th. In truth, Boualem Sansal remains trapped in his own delusions, one that long predates his trial and now serves as the perfect pretext to relaunch, as expected, a fresh wave of hatred and misinformation against Algeria. Behind this campaign stands the French media pack, aligned with the Bolloré networks, ever eager to attack Algeria, its people and its sovereignty. For months, paid editorialists, furious commentators and pseudo-intellectuals turned firebrands have been recycling the same narrative that Sensal symbolizes an oppressive regime that must be brought to heel through barely disguised diplomatic blackmail. Never mind that France, the self-proclaimed beacon of human rights, had over 2,297 of its nationals behind bars around the world without raising a national outcry. But Algeria apparently must yield simply because it dares to prosecute on its own soil and under its own laws a citizen born in Algeria, educated in its universities, employed by its institutions, and retired as a senior state official. Boualem Sansal is not a hostage. He was tried for an offense related to national unity, a red line for any state that values its sovereignty. So where is France in all this? Nowhere, except in neo-colonial posture assumed by part of its political class, which continues to condition the bilateral relations on its own level of interference. Behind this Sansal affair lies a carefully crafted strategy to reignite Algerophobia in order to distract from France's own deepening crisis. They brandish the idea of an ungovernable Algeria, recycle the nostalgia of a French Algeria, and revive the spirit of the OAS through opinion pieces, editorials, and poisonous TV segments. Pascal Brinco, the latest clown to step into the spotlight, openly called on Figaro TV to kidnap Algerian diplomats and dared to label an entire people as brainless. This hateful rhetoric harks back to the toxic atmosphere of the 1970s, when in Marseille, anti-Algerian racism reached a peak of violence and bombings with the tacit approval of the OAS's political heirs. In truth, the watchdogs of the far right and their Bolloré allies do not care about defending Sansal. He is just a pretext. Their real goal is to reignite a memory of war, ponder the nostalgic electorate, and provide a convenient distraction from very real problems: social fracture, police violence, and a failed integration model. The Algerian enemy, yesterday's Filaga, today's dictatorship, remains their favorite scapegoat. Let them bark. Algeria stands tall, true to its principles and fiercely protective of its sovereignty. Boualem Sansal is an Algerian matter. No Parisian ultimatum will change that. On their talk shows, they can spit all the venom they want. Even the thickest Bolloré bill will never stain the whiteness of Algiers. History, the real one, has already ruled. The age of masters and servants is over. No one will make us bow to a past that only they insist on reviving to feed their bitterness.
As part of Algeria's efforts to enhance security cooperation between African countries and the continuation of the efforts to support police coordination at the level of the African continent, the proceedings of the 13th session of the African Union Mechanism for Police Cooperation kicked off on Monday in Algiers. The meeting, which was inaugurated by the Director General of National Security, Ali Badawi, witnessed the presence of the African Peace and Security Commissioner, along with members of the Executive Office and representatives of partner regional organizations. The fight against terrorism, organized crime, and illegal drug trafficking were on the agenda. The proceedings of the session also discussed the reality of the implementation of AFRIPOL, strategies, and a review of national experiences in the exchange of police data, as well as the discussions of ways to combat drugs and enhance cybersecurity by creating a unified database on cybercrime. On the occasion, the Director of National Security, Ali Badawi, stressed the need to take all measures to coordinate efforts and enhance control over social media. In energy cooperation, in a move that reflects partners' confidence in the national capabilities to develop promising energy projects, Sonatrach signed 2 cooperation agreements with the Italian group Eni concerning the exploration, exploitation, and export of gas from the greater Zamoul area in Hassim Saud. Rania Al-Bahri with more details.
A new contract is strengthening the partnership between Algeria and Italy. It's based on a production sharing agreement between Sonatrach and Eni. Together, they will work on the Zamoul Akbar field in Hassi Berkin, near Hassim Saud. This energy project will receive a total investment of $135 billion, including $110 million for research and exploration. The contract we are celebrating today is part of the Law 1319 passed on December 11, 2019, which regulates oil and gas activities in Algeria. The contract will last for 30 years, with the possibility of a 10-year extension. It includes a 7-year period of exploration and research. This project will also help Algeria to take a stronger position in the global energy market and support Sonatrach's leadership in innovation and digital technology. A special agreement was also signed between Sonatrach, the Italian company Eni, and Eni Corporate University to boost cooperation in training and human development. The main goal of this project is to increase Algeria's oil and gas production. There are many fields to be explored and developed, and many new discoveries have been made. Over the 30-year contract, the project is expected to produce 415 million barrels of oil equivalent and 9.3 million cubic meters of gas. It aligns with the global energy trends, and future agreements will define how to export the dry gas from the Moul Akbar field.
The war veteran and EPTV technician Ahmed Bouhaired, who passed away on Sunday at the age of 85 years old, was buried on Monday after Dhuhr prayer in the capital Algiers. The funeral was attended by the late's family, close ones, colleagues, and citizens. Indeed, to Allah we belong, and to Him we shall return. The end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.